Hello and welcome to the Vanguard Light, and we're going to talk about rewriting your dreams for happiness. Yes. Okay, so a little bit about that. I probably have lucid dreams since a very young age. I was actually able to somewhat choose what I was going to dream, like say at the beginning of the night, I'm going to go in and dream that. But I also used to have lots and lots of nightmares, and my dreams were pretty intense. And I say that in tongue in cheek because they were crazy intense, really traumatic, but that also comes from having, let's say, a lot of trauma in my childhood, which then tends to attract more trauma throughout my childhood. So crazy times makes for a crazy head, especially in your dreams. But most people don't remember them. But I was very lucid in a lot of my dreams, so there's always a lot of recall as to what was going on, and it was always some type of attack, battles, and such. But what an awesome printout of what's going on in the unconscious. So it's really cool to start learning about your dreams, because you can do stuff about it, because it's like your communication with your unconscious. It is so cool. So what the tactic is basically, once it gets in your head, it becomes a part of you. So even though, like, say you had an attacker or something happen and you might represent them in your dream, it's really a part of you, because you're doing the representing of that. And then even if you go in and take that person out, or whatever happened, it's still you fighting you. And that's where the gotcha is that it doesn't resolve anything. It just continues the violence, the anger, the upset, because whether or not they're beating you up, you're beating them up, it's still you beating you up. So that's the key thing, is that if it's in your mind, most of the time, it's really just you and you. I mean, there are some, you can have entity influences, dark forces, but they're gonna influence your characters. So it's more about correcting those characters. But that's the coolest thing, is you can then post-dream go back in there and start rewriting. And that's the coolest thing ever, because that actually is starting to reprogram your unconscious mind of like, hey, like, let's run this new pattern. Let's run this new way of being, and it can greatly increase your happiness. Not to mention, it's such a good practice to really see, is your spiritual work working? Because when it starts showing up in your unconscious mind, it's taking root. I had that awesome experience. Like I said, normally be mostly lucid on most of them. My dreams are pretty intense, crazy, and horrific. And then once I created the technology vibration shift and was using it on myself, my dreams radically changed to where I would have normal dreams of just walking down the street. That was so rare. That was so impossible. My friend used to talk about that, of I have dreams about walking down the street. And I'm all like, really? There's not 20 ninjas with knives coming after you? That's weird. No, it's not. Actually, that's normal. But mine was weird. But I'm happy to report that after going through this process, that my dreams changed, radically changed, or it's peaceful. It's awesome. So what you do first, you got to start remembering your dreams. So one of the ways to do that is put a notebook next to your bed, and that whenever you wake up, you're going to write your dreams. For the first 3 or 4 days, you probably won't get anything, but then all of a sudden they'll start showing up and you're like, hey, wait, I'm starting to remember my dreams, right? And so you write them down. And that's just to start waking yourself up to starting to remember what your unconscious, because your unconscious goes through all this process to create these amazing dreams, but we don't pay attention. So it's kind of like the unconscious, oh well, I'm just going to work through this stuff without you there. But when we start waking up and start paying attention and watching it, then when we wake up, or if we wake up in the dream, that's even better. But until that happens, after we wake up, we go back and start rewriting the dreams, right? And start interviewing. That's what I would do. I'd go in and be like, hey, wait a second, who was attacking me? Someone attacked me, I was kind of put them up on the wall. If they still want to attack me, I'll take their arms off, whichever, to be okay, we're going to go through and kind of interview of hey, what were you doing? What were you doing? And then even if there's passerbys that kind of just let you get attacked, be like, hey, well, why did you just let that happen? Because all parts are you. And you kind of make that intensive, hey, if it looks like me, no one gets to attack it. You don't get to attack it, and we're going to have a conversation after, right? And so part of how that conversation goes after is, one, you restrain them from, because look, when you're going back and rewriting, you kind of have godlike powers, so you can restrain them, take off their arms, remove their mouth, they're saying stuff like that, and basically kind of interview of what was happening. And one of the key things you want to do is when you interview them is find out, is it like a younger part of you? Because a lot of times there's like a stuck part, a traumatic part of you, and you want to find out, okay, is there, you know, kind of get the intuitive sense of like, hey, is there a younger part of you in there, right? And so that younger part of you, you want to request to come in vibration shift. I have a full reclaim warp gate that does that really, really rapidly and kind of really holistically, and pulling out the parts that are actually you. But in this, you can just basically have that dialogue of like, hey, what parts are young parts of me? And I'm claiming those, I'm pulling them out, and just imagine like that coming out of that character. And then also, if there's anything that doesn't need to be there, you know, it's not mine, and it's kind of like that's the implanting. When something bad happens to you, it's like that evil energy of the person that does it implants it into you, and then you replicate it, right? So that part you're not taking back, and you ask angels, you can just ask angels to come in of like, anything that's not mine, you know, because you want the parts that are yours, you pull those, but the parts that aren't yours, you want those taken away. You just ask angels to come in and just kind of see them escorting that character, you know, off through a gate and disappearing. So that's the basic process of, you'll go through kind of each character and really be like, hey, look, you're not supposed to be attacking me. I'm not. And then also, if you're, you know, out there beating everybody else, you also then interview yourself and be like, hey, look, you're not going to be attacking everybody, because the thing is, when it gets in your head, it's not everybody, it's you. They're all phases and parts of you. Yes, there can be, like I said, the parts aren't supposed to be there, but they'll be bonded and mirrored inside a character that is you. And that's what part we got to kind of dissect. We first had the intention of like, hey, we're not going to be beating, attacking ourselves. Once it gets in your head, then we're cleaning that up. We're not going to attack ourselves and not have ourselves attack us, and really pull out that kind of self-sabotage, because this is like a printout showing you that self-sabotage happening, because you have a dream intention, or you're doing something in a dream, and then you have these other characters that are looking to undermine and attack that. That's just a perfect example of like this conflict in the unconscious, which you get to work out. Once you start remembering your dreams, you just go back in there, start interviewing each character, and even the ones that didn't, you know, do anything, and maybe it didn't do something because of their fear, right? Like a young part would be afraid to step in. So we're going to find, okay, that's still a young part that's stuck in time. And you find that part, you're pulling that in, and then any negative, bad energy that's not supposed to be there, we're just giving it to angels to take away. And all these are really powerful reprogram to your unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind is bringing that out to you of like, hey, look, this is what I'm working on. And you can use your conscious mind to start fixing and correcting stuff of like, oh no, we're going to take the parts that are me. And even though they might feel like, oh, they were behaving poorly and bad, a lot of times that's just because of the trauma that they went through. So you still got to pull your parts in no matter what they did. And then the darkness that might have been influencing those parts, that's what we're giving to angels, taking away, seeing them go through a gate. And you can do that every time you wake up. You're just making that intention to rewrite your dreams to where it is peaceful, to where you are supported, and you're making a really powerful command to your unconscious of like, this is the new program. I know that stuff happened, and there's a lot of dynamics of like just safety and, you know, trauma and all this stuff, which vibration shift is great for pulling out. If you want to know more, throw a comment about that. But you can do this powerful rewriting on your own right now by just addressing your dreams and what you're just pulling out. You're pulling your good stuff, that's you. And not to mention, those energies of like the young parts are kind of stuck in time. And once you start pulling them in, you're going to find that you just have more of you available. Because now it's not stuck playing this little trauma loop in your unconscious mind. Now it can be accessed by your conscious mind, be available to you to like, you know, be in the here and now and expand your awareness. So how cool is that? So that's how you can start using your dreams to like program in a lot more happiness. Hope you like that. Until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.